Election bugle, of course, has been sounded, and political parties are now into overdrive, preparing for the 5-state assembly elections, but with special focus on India's most populous state of Uttar Pradesh. Today, the Congress party announced its first list for the elections, with a strong representation for women, including the mother of the Unnao rape victim, who's been given a ticket. The BJP is also holding long confabulations, and we are told that Yogi Adityanath, the Chief Minister, will contest from Ayodhya. Meanwhile, the desertions from the BJP to the Samajwadi Party continue, as many OBC leaders and ministers within the BJP are now turning to Akhilesh Yadav. What does all this suggest? Is it a battle between Hindutva represented by BJP, caste and social engineering, or the mandal politics of the Samajwadi Party, and Congress playing the gender card? Religion versus caste versus gender. It's our top story.
In the war for UP, the generals are redrawing their battle plans. With less than a month to go before ballots are cast on February 10th, in the first phase, the Samajwadi Party has raided the BJP, poaching one leader after another. In the past 2 weeks, over 10 top BJP leaders, including ministers and MLAs, have quit the party. Dharam Singh Saini is the latest to join the ranks of former ministers Dara Singh Chauhan and Swami Prasad Maurya. All are set to join the Samajwadi Party.
हमने पार्टी इसलिए छोड़ी है कि उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार में जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेतृत्व में 5 वर्ष सरकार चली है, दलितों पिछड़ों का शोषण हुआ है, उसमें किसी की बात नहीं सुनी गई, यहाँ तक के जनप्रतिनिधियों की और संगठन के पदाधिकारियों की भी नहीं सुनी गई।
बहुजन समाज पार्टी से निकलने के बाद सभी लोग हमारे ही नेतृत्व में वहाँ गए थे, और जब यहाँ में छोड़ा तो फिर सब हमारे नेतृत्व में यहाँ पर आ रहे हैं।
Akhilesh Yadav's game plan is clear. He has already stitched together an alliance of smaller parties in an attempt to win back non-Yadav OBC votes, the mainstay of the BJP vote bank over the last 8 years. The BJP is battling to retain its hold on the OBC vote and is playing down the exodus.
उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता ने देखा है कि किस तरीके से नफरत की राजनीति हुई है, शोषण की राजनीति हुई है, लोग अपमानित हुए हैं। दारा सिंह चौहान जी भी समाजवादी पार्टी के साथ खड़े हो रहे हैं, तो मुझे खुशी है इस बात की कि पूरा उत्तर प्रदेश एक खुशहाली की पॉलिटिक्स करना चाहता है।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी अपने आप को एक परिवार मानता है और हम सब उस परिवार के सदस्य हैं, तो एक मुखिया की तरह जैसे एनडीए के पार्टनर्स को लेकर वो चलते हैं, सभी अपने सदस्यों को भी संतुष्ट रखना पार्टी की नीति है। तो स्वाभाविक है अगर वो बात कर रहे होंगे तो जरूर कर रहे होंगे, क्योंकि खुद स्वामी प्रसाद मौर्य जी ने कहा कि उनके संपर्क में लोग हैं।
The Saffron Party is banking on consolidating the Hindu votes. It looks set to field Yogi Adityanath from Ayodhya, a move aimed at reaping maximum dividends from the Mandir movement.
अगर यहाँ से आते हैं, चुनाव लड़ने के लिए घोषणा होती है, तो उनका भव्य स्वागत किया जाएगा और यहाँ पर सब लोग मिल करके उनको भारी मतों के साथ जिताने का काम किया जाएगा। सब लोग 100% हमको वोट दें, और इसमें से बहुत सारे मुसलमान ऐसे हैं जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी को वोट देंगे।
The Congress, energized by Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, is playing the woman card. As promised, the Congress General Secretary announced 50 women candidates on Thursday in a list of 125, which included the mother of Unnao rape survivor. Former BJP leader Kuldeep Singh Sengar was convicted of rape in the case that made national headlines.
हमारी उन्नाव की जो प्रत्याशी हैं, जो उन्नाव का बहुत बड़ा रेप का केस हुआ था, उनकी माताजी हैं आशा सिंह जी। जिस सत्ता के जरिए उनको दबाया गया, उनके परिवार के साथ तरह तरह के अत्याचार किए गए, वही सत्ता अपने हाथों में लें और खुद के लिए अपनी लड़ाई लड़ें।
Religion versus caste versus gender. Political parties of UP have decided on their battle plans, but no one knows which of these will be the winning formula in 2022, described as the semi-final before the 2024 general elections. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let's then look at the big questions. Can Yogi Adityanath consolidate the Hindu vote, or are OBC voters now ditching and deserting the BJP? Will Hindutva trump the Samajwadi Party's broader caste alliance? And will Priyanka Gandhi's women gambit pay off? Just some of the questions we'll raise on our political face-off. Gaurav Bhatia, the Samajwadi Party spokesperson, Supriya Srinath from the Congress, Shahid Siddiqui, National Vice President RLD, which is in alliance with the Samajwadi Party, and Sanjay Kumar, Director CSDS and leading psephologist. Appreciate all of you joining us. Let me come to you, Gaurav Bhatia, because the big story at the moment is the daily desertions of OBC leaders, including 3 ministers from the Yogi government. Is there a sense that the BJP is losing its hold over the OBCs, and that is a warning signal to you ahead of the elections?
Yeah, Rajdeep, first of all, a small correction. If I heard you correctly, I am the BJP spokesperson. You mentioned me as the SP spokesperson.
BJP spokesperson. My apologies.
No, that's fine. Yeah. So now coming to the issue on which we are discussing, it is very important to understand that today we have double engine ki sarkar, leadership at the center and as well as the state. And then there are leaders who come to a party and during the Chunavi Mausam, they decide to leave us. But the strength of our organization, ideology and leadership and the dedicated cadre that we have, it will make very little impact, I must say. And we are very sure that we will have a resounding victory and have even more than 325 seats on 10th of March. And look at these persons who are leaving the party.
No, but the perception, Gaurav Bhatia, surely the perception just ahead of an election when one OBC leader, non-Yadav OBC, all of them, the unifying factor of all the leaders by and large who are leaving you, they all belong to the non-Yadav OBCs, communities that voted for you in the last few elections, but somehow seem to believe that they don't have a share in the power cake in an upper caste dominated BJP.
Rajdeep, first of all, sometimes perception could be deception and it necessarily does not translate into victories. But your question can also be answered that please also see the last 2 months. Just day before yesterday, there was a Congress MLA who joined the Bharatiya Janata Party, and there was also a sitting MLA of the Samajwadi Party that joined our party. And there were 4 others earlier from the Samajwadi Party who joined the Bharatiya Janata Party. But the point here is the leaders who are leaving. I want to say, istife mein bhi akal nahi nakal kar rahe hain. Have you looked at their resignation letter? They talk about the OBC. I must say that which party gave constitutional position to the OBC commission? It was the Bharatiya Janata Party. They talk about farmers and then they go to Samajwadi Party where we have seen Azam Khan, who has been arrested for grabbing land of farmers. Then they talk about unemployment. Unemployment during the Samajwadi Party regime was around 18%, which has been brought down to 4.5% now. And they talk about youth. We have given 450,000 government jobs to the youth, apart from many other schemes that have opened job opportunities for the youth. But Samajwadi Party did nothing. For them, it is only Akhilesh Yadav and nothing else. So when we fight on the plank of development, I think Bharatiya Janata Party has a very strong case. And second, it is about our Hindu pride plank. We all know what happened during the Samajwadi Party regime when there was appeasement politics and communal politics. That has been completely sidelined now, and it is about coexisting and respecting every religion. That, I think, is the mantra.
No, you said, okay, so you're sort of playing down these desertions. You're saying at the end of the day, these desertions will not affect the BJP's dominance. Shahid Siddiqui, you want to respond, because most of those who have left the BJP in the last few days have turned towards the Samajwadi Party. You are of the RLD in alliance with the Samajwadi Party. Are you confident that you can actually stitch together a broader caste coalition? Is that the aim, to try and create a broad caste coalition that brings together Yadavs, Muslims and non-Yadav OBCs? That is Mandal 2.0, as I call it. Is that your strategy? Is it really workable?
Rajdeep, things have changed in Uttar Pradesh. They are beyond Mandal, they are beyond Kamandal. It's a double failure ki sarkar, not double engine ki sarkar. People cutting across caste, religion, gender, everything. They will be voting this government out. There's a huge, strong, very strong undercurrent in Uttar Pradesh. And I have been saying this, that as soon as the elections will be announced, people will come out strongly, because there was a tremendous sense of fear even among the BJP leaders, among the BJP ministers. They were suffering from fear. And you can see that as soon as they resign, the police starts knocking at their doors. So the Yogi has been running a sarkar of fear even among the BJP and its supporters. So now that people will come out very strongly, and you will see that the caste factor will become irrelevant.
No, what has suddenly changed? Shahid Siddiqui, the BJP won a majority of the seats 2014 Lok Sabha, UP, 2017 Assembly and 2019. What has changed suddenly?
No, it has not changed suddenly, but you see, I'll tell you what has changed. Rajdeep, I'll tell you what has changed. What has changed is the way people died during the COVID, and you saw the dead bodies on the banks of Ganga. People still had some faith that the jobs will come. They wanted to give a chance. Indian people are very patient. They give one chance after the other. They gave this chance to Modi ji, to Yogi ji. The double failure has come from both, from Modi ji and from Yogi ji. The jobs didn't come. Whatever promises were made, and that the farmers' movement has been very, very important. The rural India is up in arms against this government, because they have been deceived on every front. Every front they have been deceived, and therefore you will see a huge change.
Okay.
The way people are running, people don't. During elections, people change from one party to another. When the ruling party is there, when a powerful party is there, when a strong party is there, people don't go away from it. Ministers don't resign. The very fact that they're resigning, the very fact that they're moving out, shows that they know what is happening on the ground. Media may not know it. The BJP may know it.
You're saying
the illusion that they'll be able to play the Hindu-Muslim card again, but that card will not work. It has worked twice, thrice, but it doesn't work all the time. You can't fool all the people all the time.
Okay, so you're saying there's an undercurrent. Supriya Srinath, the Congress interestingly has put out its first list today, and more than 50 of your 125 candidates are women. Is the Congress recognizing that they can't compete with the Samajwadi Party when it comes to stitching a caste coalition, cannot compete with the BJP when it comes to the Hindutva politics of the BJP, so you're playing gender, which you hope will cut across caste and community? To that extent, what is the Congress's role really in this election?
No, absolutely not. I refute you. And I refute you because this isn't just a petty electoral issue for us. This is a leap of faith that the party is taking, and we are hoping this is going to be the cornerstone as far as the role of women in Indian politics is concerned. She promised 40%, and here we are with a list of 125, 50 women candidates, 75 men, and the average age of all our candidates is only 45 years, 42 for women and 46 for men. There are 88 candidates contesting elections for the first time. So there's a lot of focus on women, on youth, and getting people who've actually gone there and struggled against the system, who've gone there and struggled against the brute, brazen attitude of the BJP and fought for justice. We're giving women like that a platform, whether it's Asha Singh, who fought against a very mighty Kuldeep Singh Sengar, or for that matter, Poonam Pandey and Asha Bahu was brutally beaten up, or Sadaf Jafar, and people like her. We're giving them a platform to fight. I would only want to say here Women constitute 50% of India's population. This isn't just about Uttar Pradesh. If you actually look at the desertions that are happening for the BJP, in Goa for that matter, where elected MLAs have quit and joined the Congress party, and Mr. Lobo and Mr. Lana and Almeida being a few who've quit and joined. One has joined the AAP and the others the Congress. Or for that matter, a sitting transport minister who quit Uttarakhand and joined us. This is desertion across the board, and I agree with Mr. Siddiqui here that people were waiting for elections to be around the corner because their frontals, the CBI, ED and the income tax come into play, if at all you make that switch. However, I would only want to end by saying I thought it was a preemption on your part, a Freudian slip when you referred to somebody as an SP spokesperson. Given the kind of desertions one is seeing perhaps in Uttar Pradesh, I thought maybe you're preempting something here.
No, I'm not preempting anything. I don't think Mr. Gaurav Bhatia has any intention of returning to his original party. I've already apologized for that. But Professor Sanjay Kumar, you heard the three main parties at the moment. What's your sense? Is it being simplistic to pose it as Hindutva versus old style Mandal or Mandal 2.0 versus gender? Is it simplistic to pose it as that in a complex state like Uttar Pradesh? Do you believe that there are new narratives emerging this time?
No, Rajdeep. I think all the smaller narratives have now boiled down to the three things which you have already mentioned. I think this electoral contest is heading for Mandal versus Kamandal, while Samajwadi Party is banking heavily on its Yadav, Muslim and lower OBC alliance, while BJP would like to play up the religion card, because now there is a fear that BJP has started losing the lower OBC vote, and BJP won the 2017 elections with a huge support among the lower OBC vote. If BJP want to prevent that fragmentation of the lower OBC vote, they have to come up with a larger narrative. So I'm sure they will come up with this, the Kamandal thing, and Samajwadi Party is going to rely heavily on the Mandal. So this election, I think after a very long time, is turning into caste equations on one side, or on the charges of Samajwadi Party would definitely try and play up this whole thing of, lower caste at the receiving end when BJP is in power. So it is going to be caste versus religion. Samajwadi Party banking heavily on caste equation, marginalization of the OBCs, the lower caste, while BJP will try and play up the religion card, caring for the Hindutva, the slogan of Kashi, Mathura, and Ayodhya.
I want to ask you, Professor Kumar, because I look at the CSDS post-poll survey very closely this morning. In 2012, Vidhan Sabha, when the Samajwadi Party won, the BJP got less than or around 20% of the lower OBCs, who constitute around 35% of UP's population, the non-Yadav OBCs, as I should be calling them. By 2019 Lok Sabha, the number had gone up to 72%. 72% of the non-Yadav OBCs voted for the BJP. Are you telling me that we will have a switchback, or we could have a switchback to 2012? Professor Kumar, you're not ruling that out?
No. I don't think that it will go back to the situation of 2012. Yes, BJP got 72% of the lower OBC vote, non-Yadav OBC vote in 2019, which was 61% in 2017. I think BJP is likely to lose half of its lower OBC vote, what it got in 2019. So they might go back to the situation of, say, getting 40%, 45% lower OBC vote, and Samajwadi Party having more or less the equal share. So I think the party which is going to get the larger share of non-Yadav OBC vote will be close to winning the 2022 elections.
But that's a very big statement you're making. You're effectively telling me that therefore it's now a much closer race than most people thought 2 months ago.
Certainly, Rajdeep, I certainly agree, and I have shifted my own stand, because a couple of months ago, I used to believe that BJP was much ahead of Samajwadi Party. Slowly, I saw the gap narrowing down, and what has happened yesterday and day before yesterday, now I think the race is very, very close. It's a very tight election, like what we saw in Bihar. So, and it's very difficult now to say which party is ahead. But I think still, in my opinion, if I have to put my money, I would say BJP is still ahead by just a fraction of votes.
That clearly shows a narrow the momentum. Therefore, it appears with the Samajwadi Party, Gaurav Bhatia, it appears that your old party has got the momentum. To that extent, is there a worry within the BJP? There is now talk that Yogi Adityanath will contest from Ayodhya, as Professor Kumar said, back to Kamandal. Let's play strong religious polarization politics, because the caste equations, the social engineering this time is being done by our opponents, not by you.
Rajdeep, first of all, I think it is a very positive sign that a chief minister who's incumbent has the confidence to contest from a seat. And then he'll choose the seat if our parliamentary board decides. But the point here is, look at Akhilesh Yadav. When he became the chief minister, he was actually from the upper house. He was an MLC. He didn't contest any elections. Mayawati does not even come out with a manifesto, will not contest the elections. So I think it is a good sign for the Bharatiya Janata Party that on the strength of the work that has been done by Yogi Adityanath ji, he wishes to contest. And nobody can see it as a sign of weakness. My second point would be...
But the choice of Ayodhya, if Ayodhya has been chosen, it seems that the BJP believes that they can still play the Ram Mandir emotional appeal by getting the chief minister to contest from Ayodhya.
Rajdeep, first of all, I cannot, make any announcement on your channel, because that's not the job of the spokesperson. Let the list come out and then we'll debate it. But yes, it is an undisputed fact. We are very proud of the fact that it is under our regime that we are seeing a magnificent Ram temple being built, for which hurdles were created by the Congress. Samajwadi Party did not want it. And therefore, it's a matter of pride for us. But I will remind you, when during the West Bengal elections, Rajdeep, MLAs and other senior leaders were joining the Bharatiya Janata Party, there is a very eminent journalist, and I have this video. These were the questions that were being asked. And I'm playing it for you. Just here.
Is the BJP today a lottery machine? Are you Ganga Jal? Moment you come into BJP, you get purified. Respond to that first allegation.
It's a very interesting term used by that eminent journalist. He was asking the BJP spokesperson, is the BJP a laundry machine? Does it have Ganga Jal? Koi bhi aayega, pavitra ho jayega. Lekin, those very eminent journalists are not asking the same questions today. I think the narrative is different. They have a very vulnerable task on their shoulders. They're working on the narrative. But leave that aside. I want to come to the Congress.
Here people are leaving, Gaurav Bhatia, people are leaving the ruling party to join the opposition. That doesn't happen too often. The difference is, in Uttar Pradesh, people are leaving the ruling party to join the opposition.
Okay.
Therefore, the sense is that the opposition has the momentum. Normally, people join the side which is likely to win, and usually the ruling party. Now they are joining the opposition.
Rajdeep, you are wrong again. Your analysis is not right, because the Bharatiya Janata Party had 3 seats in West Bengal. The ruling party was TMC. TMC leaders were coming to the Bharatiya Janata Party. And then that very eminent journalist said, laundry machine ho kya? Kya aap Ganga Jal ho? Khair, we leave it at that. Gaya Ram and Jhasa Ram will not matter. What will matter is the party that from its heart said Ram Ram. And to the Congress, I want to say, they talk about women empowerment. Rajdeep, is it not hypocrisy on their part that in Uttarakhand, that in Punjab, they will not talk about giving 40% of the seats to women? In Alwar, Rajasthan, a heinous crime, rape has been committed, and the perpetrators of crime have not been arrested. Third fact, the women reservation bill was passed by one house under the UPA government, but was not even tabled in the other house for passage of it for 4 years. And they talk about women empowerment. And last but not the least, we have seen leaders like Beni Prasad Verma switching sides and joining the Congress. 2012, the Congress could only get 22 seats, if I'm not wrong. SP and Congress came together in 2017. they could only muster 57 seats. In 2019, SP and BSP came together. They could together only get 15 seats and we won 64. So please, it is too early to celebrate for some journalists and Congress party and other SP party leaders. Just wait for the results. On 10th March, it would be the lotus blooming again.
I'm sure it will be the lotus blooming again, and journalists are not celebrating. My job is to ask questions of all. When people desert the BJP, I will ask you the question. But Supriya Shrineth, you want to respond? According to Gaurav Bhatia, very easy for the Congress to say we stand for women's empowerment. Then please give 40 or 50% tickets across the country, not just in Uttar Pradesh, where your stakes are lower. And he says, please ensure that in Rajasthan, which is ruled by the Congress, highest number of rapes in that state, please ensure justice to the Alwar rape victim as well. You want to quickly respond?
I will answer all the questions, and I will tell you why I will answer all the questions. Because it's their petty mind that politicizes rape. When a rape happens in Rajasthan, the political bigwigs there and the chief minister doesn't get on TV cameras and say there has been no rape. The STF is set up, 6 lakh bounties announced on the heads of the perpetrators. That's how Rajasthan behaves. I did not speak in between. आप women's reservation की बात कर रहे हैं. I mean, what sort of a debate is this? 33% women's reservation. How dare you even open your mouth on that? You have a brute majority government. In the last 7.5 years, you have not whispered the word women's reservation, despite the fact that it is in your poll promises in both 2014 and 2019. You are going to tell us about women's reservation. Have the courage and do it. You will have our unstinted support, and I can say this on national television. I'm going to go across and answer the first question that he asked, that why don't we do it at other places? Priyanka Gandhi is in General Secretary in charge of Uttar Pradesh. She's taking a leap of faith here. And she's taking a leap of faith with not just the most winnable quote-unquote candidates, but people who need to be in mainstream politics. She's making a beginning here, and I can tell you that beginning is being reflected in what the BJP is saying today, what the BJP is doing, what the SP is doing, what the BSP is doing. It is also being reflected in a lot of the Congress-ruled states. This is a beginning we are making. We hope and presume and pray that this is going to turn everybody to take the first step. And yes, the Congress-ruled states should. You of all the people should not be talking about women empowerment, because in the last 7.5 years, we saw the first rally happen with the Prime Minister for Women, thanks to Priyanka Gandhi. You think women should be restricted to one toilet and one cylinder. No, we are a lot more than that. We deserve half our rights. We deserve half the position in political places, and we will have it.
Well, I will wait and see if the Congress walks the talk on that. Strong words, you're doing it in UP, but we'll see whether you do it in other states. But Shahid Siddiqui, you said to me that you believe this cannot be a Hindu-Muslim election. We heard Yogi Adityanath a few days ago saying this is an 80-20 election. There's a sense that there is a Hindutva consolidation that we saw certainly in the 2019 election. Are you telling me that the Hindu-Muslim factor does not exist on the ground? That there is that suddenly it has disappeared from Uttar Pradesh's politics almost overnight. The sense that the Samajwadi Party is stereotyped as a party of the Muslims, all of that will change overnight?
Rajdeep, nothing disappears overnight. Nothing disappears overnight. It has been a gradual erosion of this narrative which BJP has been selling to the people for last 7 years or more. They have been doing it for last 20-30 years, in fact, but especially for the last 7 years, they have been doing it. And I can assure you, I disagree with my friend Sanjay that it is a Mandal versus Kamandal. It is not. Just because some of the backwards are going back to the opposition doesn't mean that it is Mandal versus Kamandal. BJP will try its best to turn it into a Mandal versus Kamandal election, but it is not. Even the Brahmins are angry with this government. Brahmins are going away. The Dalits are moving away from BSP towards SP and towards this alliance. So it is not just across the backward caste. It is across the board that people are going back, and I assure you, if you invite me after the elections, you will see the results. That and Sanjay will do all the surveys. He will see that it is across the board that people have voted this government out because people are worried. The real issues are not Mandir. Real issues are not Hindu Muslims. Real issues are today unemployment. Real issues are rising prices. Real issues are the farmers' problems, the youth problem, the middle class. Everybody is suffering across the board, across the age barrier, across the gender factor. So this will not. These are all old ideas which we go because we always go by the last election.
Your point.
Don't analyze by the. This is a new situation and sentiment has changed. The world is changing.
Before I come to Professor Sanjay Kumar for final comments. Okay, Gaurav Bhatia, there's a sense that while the BJP believes that they are willing to fight this election on Yogi Adityanath's track record, issues like jobs, issues like price rise, issues like COVID management have built a sense of anti-incumbency also on the ground. Is there a recognition of that? I am told that at least 40% of your sitting MLAs will be removed. Isn't that a sign that there is anti-incumbency at the local level?
Rajdeep, 2 points that I wish to counter. Can I respond now? Yes, thanks. You're talking about unemployment, and I'll give you the numbers. When Samajwadi Party government was ruling, there was around 18% unemployment when we took charge. And now it's down to 4.9% as per the latest data that I have. And do you know how much it is? In Rajasthan, because the Congress representative is also here, 27.1%. We have given 4.5 lakh government jobs and many other job opportunities. The Congress and the Samajwadi Party has not done that. Second, you spoke about COVID management. The best COVID management that has been seen in any state is Uttar Pradesh, 22 crore vaccine doses given. And will the people of Uttar Pradesh forgive parties?
We've seen dead bodies float on the Ganges.
Can she be quiet, Rajdeep? I'm sure you will intervene. I'm sure you will intervene.
No, one by one, Supriya Shrinet, let him complete.
Yes. So, Rajdeep, will
the
citizens of India and our people from Uttar Pradesh not punish parties who called the vaccine BJP ka tika, or Congress party, Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel saying co-vaccine is unsafe? So I think they created vaccine hesitancy, whereas our government worked on ground. And I must end by saying, who started with Jinnah? Who was trying to communalize the election? It was Akhilesh Yadav. People of Uttar Pradesh don't idolize Jinnah. They idolize Sardar Patel and Dr. Abdul Kalam. And last but not the least, I have a copy of the Samajwadi Party manifesto with me. You know the kind of appeasement that took place during that time. They have stated that accused in terror cases, if they are Muslims, we'll withdraw the cases. It was only after the reprimand of the Supreme Court that they could not take back these cases on Muslim terrorist accused. Such was the communal politics that prevailed at that time. So that has changed now, and people of Uttar Pradesh are noticing that.
Okay, I want to give you,
give me 5 seconds.
Dr. Sanjay Kumar, a final word. If there is any X factor, what is that X factor that will be, according to you, Professor Sanjay Kumar, the key issue in the next 6 weeks? Is it which ways the non-Yadav OBCs vote? Is it the non-Jatav Dalits who have also consolidated in recent elections towards the BJP? Is it how Mayawati performs and whose vote, if her vote declines, who that vote goes to? What's the X factor, Professor Kumar?
No, Rajdeep, I think if the X factor we have to look for, it is how BSP is going to play up in these elections. If BSP's vote share declines drastically, we have to wait and see which way the BSP's vote is going to shift. BSP has a lot of support base among the Dalits, especially the Jatav votes. And if the Jatav vote moves in favor of BJP, BJP will certainly have an edge. And if Jatavs moves away from BSP and goes to Samajwadi Party, then Samajwadi Party has the edge. So I think Jatav vote needs to be watched. BSP needs to be looked at carefully. And if BSP is able to, and whether BSP performs well. So I think the X factor is BSP, but also another factor which needs to be watching very, very carefully is about the ticket distribution within the SP alliances, because that box is still to be opened. In a sense, we all know that Samajwadi Party has been able to build alliances with large number of parties. But when it comes to ticket distribution, who is going to contest where? I think that's going to be a very crucial point which we need to keep an eye on.
Right. Either way, what you've suggested and what this discussion suggests
right
is the narrative is slow. Yes, what is your last? Yes, Supriya Srinath.
I don't think figures are read properly by the BJP. Out of 100 people, 68 are unemployed in Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh is the only state where there was lack of oxygen, people were dying and bodies were floating in the Ganga. Uttar Pradesh is the only state showing China's airport as your own, showing foreigners as your own citizen who've been given jobs. What are you even talking about? What development have you done for the state of Uttar Pradesh? You are number one as far as lying is concerned. You are misusing funds, the government funds. Please do not mislead me. I don't think you read data. Start reading data, start reading economy. We are 32
at the end of the day, you can put all the data both sides. I suggest that people go down to the ground and meet the Berozgars of Uttar Pradesh. Meet those who have lost out because of a teacher recruitment scam. Meet those who've lost out because of reservation scams, who've lost out because there are paper leaks, who've lost out because of COVID. This is not just confined to Uttar Pradesh, but across the country, unemployment is an issue. Politicians come and throw figures at us. When we go to the ground, it's very clear that there is distress. Now, which way that plays out, we don't know. But clearly, the Uttar Pradesh elections are going to be much closer and tighter possibly than what we might have anticipated just a few months ago. Thank you to all my guests for joining me. I appreciate that there was a little less noise than I feared, which is a good sign.